Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the AFC Virtual Travel Show. I'm your host, Will Reece, as the marketing rep for AFC Vacations. And today we're looking at summer and warm weather destinations, so exotic tours as well as programs that run over the summertime. And if you would have told me 5 years ago when I moved to Southern California that I'd be cold at 60 degrees, I would have told you you were crazy. But it's become the truth. I've become a little soft, and it gets cold in December, no matter where you are. So we are looking ahead to some warm weather climates, some wonderful trips all around the world, and looking out about 6 to 8 months in advance as people are starting to travel and book their travels much earlier these days. So we'll work our way through this great show talking about some excellent destinations. And to give you a little bit of a background about AFC, what we offer are worldwide tours and cruises with all different travel styles. So everything from train trips, both domestically as well as internationally. Our Unpack Once tours, which are some of our most popular trips. You unpack your suitcase one time in one hotel and get to explore from there. And then our great adventure travel, as well as our European river cruise charters. We offer a great diversity, and it really gives you the opportunity to explore new destinations. What's included with an AFC tour? First and foremost, we show you prices including round-trip airfare. We also offer land-only rates. So if you like to use your own airline, if you have air miles, you can book that way. But we offer flexibility as well as full service. And we also have a great team of tour managers, many of which have been with us for 10, 20 years in some cases. And then a great diversity in sightseeing and great meals along the way. We have a couple of booking guarantees. First and foremost is our guaranteed departures, and you'll see the symbol GD in the brochure. That means that trip has enough passengers to take off and head out the door. So when you're looking at the dates, you can be assured that that trip is good to go. We also have guaranteed pricing, and what that means is once you put your deposit down on a tour, your price is locked in. Even as we're hit with fuel surcharges and price fluctuations from our vendors, that doesn't get passed on to you. So that's what you can be assured of with booking with AFC. One of the great features that AFC offers is our home pickup service. And we pick you up from the door at your home, take you to the airport, and bring you back after the tour. It's one of the great services we've provided for over 25 years and continue to offer. We also offer a home pickup credit. So if you do make your own way to the airport, whether using Uber, Lyft, or another method, we'll take $100 off per person of your final payment if you make your own way to the airport. What's new going into the year? First and foremost, our Travelers Club is a great loyalty program. So if you book a tour or European river cruise, you're automatically enrolled to receive $100 off your next trip with us and each trip thereafter. So booking within 18 months of each tour provides that $100 discount, and it's a straightforward, easy way to save. Our Refer a Friend credit of $100 off is a great value as well, and all of these offers are combinable. So we are a company that was built by word of mouth, and friends told their friends and their family members, and we grew from there. And now we have travelers from coast to coast. So if you tell your friend or family member to travel with AFC and they take a trip with us, your next tour is $100 off. Our early booking savings is another great way to save. If you're one of the first 20 travelers to book on a tour, domestic or international, you can save up to $100 off of your booking. And then if you're the 21st through 40th traveler, you can save $75 off. You would just pay your final payment by check. Deposits can be paid credit card, check, anything you'd like, but that final payment paid by check and being within that first 20 to 40. Also, we increase that on our European river cruises up to $200 off for the first 20. So make sure you sign up early, book your trips, and these trips are selling out. So it pays to book early, and you do save money that way. What AFC is really about is real people and real service. And we have an exceptional team in our office handling your questions, handling your bookings, and we take pride in what we do and how we handle our trips. So we've been in business since 1982, over 42 years in the industry, and our team has over 130 years combined experience in the travel industry. We are also a select member of the USTOA, that's the United States Tour Operators Association, and that has a $1 million traveler's assistance program. So we put down a bond in case of insolvency or any kind of issues along that sense. And so your deposits, your final payments are protected under that. Getting into some of our great tours for the year, one of the wonderful trips we offer is our San Antonio Fiesta. And this one's a little bit earlier in the spring. That's April 25th. It is a guaranteed departure, and this is one I've led myself. It's a wonderful trip, a great destination, and we stay 4 nights in San Antonio, right near the Riverwalk. We'll do a San Antonio city tour with the Alamo, the IMAX Theater, as well as going out to Mission San Jose. It's known as the Queen of the Missions. It's one of the largest Spanish-style missions in Texas. We'll work our way over to the Texas Cavaliers River Parade, and this is a tremendous experience put on by the U.S. military. And it's a float parade down the river, getting a chance to see all our servicemen and women dressed up and celebrating, and it's a great event. So we'll have areas to see that river parade from. We'll also do our own cruise along the Paseo del Rio. So we'll join a boat and take us down with guided commentary that tells us all about San Antonio. Then we make our way up to Hill Country, and that is to the town of Fredericksburg. We'll get to see a beautiful museum. That's a World War II museum dedicated to the Pacific Theater. We'll also get a chance to head over to Austin. That's the state capital. And you'll get a chance to go into the Lyndon B. Johnson Presidential Library. And it's a great visit. We spent a couple hours there really understanding the presidency and his time in office. But overall, a wonderful trip, 5 days, and we include 6 meals. So all of your breakfasts and then a handful of dinners. A brand new tour in 2025 was just released, and we're happy to bring you a new destination with incredible scenery as well as history. The North Carolina and Outer Banks tour is a wonderful 8-day, 7-night program. We incorporate 12 meals. That's right, 12 meals on this trip. And we arrive in the capital of North Carolina, which is Raleigh. Our first night stay in Raleigh leads us to a great city tour the following day, and that's where you get to see the Capitol building and Victorian homes in many different styles from Queen Anne to Craftsman. Raleigh is also home to North Carolina State University, or NC State, and is a main research institute along with Duke and UNC. It's known as the Research Triangle with those great institutes. We leave Raleigh that afternoon as we make our way to the Atlantic coast and Atlantic Beach specifically. And Atlantic Beach is situated on a barrier island bordered by the Bogue Sound and Atlantic Ocean. It's a wide, white sandy beach and turquoise waters and a half-mile-long boardwalk. Those are just a few of the highlights there. We include a welcome dinner to get to know your fellow travelers and a 2-night stay in Atlantic Beach. We visit Tryon Palace, which was built in 1767, and that was the first capital of the North Carolina Territory. And Governor William Tryon brought John Hawkes from England to design the palace after country houses outside of London. In 1898, a local pharmacist, Caleb Bradham, invented the original formula for Pepsi, known as Brad's Drink. And in 1902, the Pepsi Cola Company was formed with Caleb Bradham as the president, right there in New Bern, North Carolina. You'll get a chance to see the birthplace of Pepsi, the old pharmacy in the town of New Bern, and then we have a wonderful experience going out on a cruise on the water, on an Inner Banks cruise with lunch included. Later, we'll stop in Beaufort, originally a small fishing village established in 1709, and you'll see Front Street and the Beaufort Historic Site, which depicted life in the 18th and 19th century along the coast. The following day, we visit Ocracoke Island, the southernmost village along the Cape Hatteras National Seashore. And we ferry across the Pamlico Sound, where you'll have time to explore the town and the surroundings. We then continue by ferry to Hatteras Island and see the lighthouse with its wrapped around stripes. Now, Hatteras is part of a long coastal strip that leads all the way towards Kitty Hawk. And our 3-night stay in Nag's Head provides close proximity to Kitty Hawk. So we'll get a chance to see the Wright Brothers National Memorial, and we'll also include visits to Roanoke Island and Fort Raleigh. And that was a settlement that predates Jamestown and Plymouth Town. The Whalehead Club is a 21,000 square foot home built between 1922 and 1925 with Art Nouveau detailing. And we visit there as well as an off-road nature safari. And that's where we'll get a chance to see wild horses, different bird species, and foxes. So we wrap up the trip by coming back into Raleigh after a stop in Edenton, where we'll have a local guide, and then we fly back out of Raleigh. Now, this only has one departure for the year, and that's September 10th. So please, if you're interested, don't wait. Make sure you get your booking in today. One of our great trips that we've had on repeat, because it has been so successful, is our Cape Cod and the Islands tour. And this runs all throughout the summer and then into the early parts of fall in September. This is a great chance to get out on the Cape out in Massachusetts. And we start this trip by flying into Boston. So we'll spend one night in Boston, getting to see the highlights on a city tour. And then we make our way out to Yarmouth, or Hyannis as our hub. And we spend 5 nights out on the Cape. Now, en route to the Cape, we'll also stop in Plymouth, and that is the home of the Plymouth Rock as well as Plymouth Plantation, or Pawtucket. And it's a great settlement reenactment of the original foundation. From there, we go out on a couple of different ferry rides. We'll take you to Martha's Vineyard for the day, and then we'll also ferry out to Nantucket, and that is home of the Whaling Museum, where a lot of the wealth came into the New England area from. So we'll get a chance to see the museum. Then we'll also head south and make our way into Rhode Island. We'll stop in Newport, Rhode Island for the day, getting a chance to do lunch and a visit in town. And then we'll see the Breakers Mansion, home of George Washington Vanderbilt, and it's a beautiful property out on the Cape, out on the coast. From there, we'll also work our way to the north tip of the Cape, and that's Provincetown or P-Town. And then we incorporate a cranberry bog visit on this tour. Last but not least is a wonderful lobster farewell dinner. So you can see all the different dates, many of which are guaranteed already. And this one is 7 days and 6 nights. One of our most popular trips we do is coastal Maine. And this one stops in Boston for 1 night. One of the main differences on our Boston City tour is a visit to Fenway Park. And it's a great experience to take in the oldest stadium in sports in America. From Boston, we'll do our city tour, then we'll make our way up the coastline. We'll stop in these beautiful little coastal towns like York and Ogunquit, right on the Ogunquit River. And then we'll stay either 5 nights in Kennebunkport or Portland, Maine. Portland's one of the largest cities in the state, and we get to enjoy some of the beautiful lighthouses along the coast. So we'll see the amazing Cape Nettic Lighthouse, and then the Portland Head Lighthouse, which is pictured in the upper left-hand corner. Also get a chance to try some great lobster throughout the trip, but the main end point is our lobster clam bake. So that's a great way to wrap up the experience. In general, this is a fantastic tour with a lot to offer, especially if you love the scenery of the coastlines. And then we also do a seashore trolley visit to the museum there. So this one heads out June, July, September, and October. A great trip heading down the Pacific coast is our Pacific Coast Seattle to San Francisco trip. And we only have 1 date on this, that is August 10th. It's already guaranteed and there is limited space available. So only a handful of spots for folks that are interested in doing this trip in the summer. And there's no better time to visit Seattle than in the summer, and especially August. I always say anything after July 5th, you're good to go up until about September 15th. So from Seattle, we'll spend 2 nights. We'll get a chance to see the city as well as the Space Needle. We'll make a stop at Pike Place Market, one of the oldest continuously operating farmers markets in the country, dating back to the 19-teens. From there, we continue down. We'll stop along the way and then end up in Portland for the night. In Portland, we'll do a city tour with a visit to the Rose Test Gardens, and then we continue along the Oregon coast and make our way coastal all the way from there down to San Francisco. Along the Oregon coast, we'll get a chance to see Newport as well as the sand dunes, one of the largest stretches of sand dunes in North America. And then we'll also take you on a jet boat ride along the Rogue River, and that is close to the border of Oregon and California. Then we'll make our way through the Redwoods National Park along the northern stretch of California, getting to see these beautiful coastal redwood trees. We'll stop for a wine tasting in California, as well with a 2-night stay in San Francisco, the city by the bay, and incorporate a great city tour and farewell dinner. So this trip is 8 days with 11 meals included, all of your breakfasts, as well as welcome and farewell dinner, and a really wonderful trip that I highly recommend. Our Utah's Mighty National Parks trip has been adjusted over the years, and this tour allows you for easier travel to fly directly into Salt Lake City. So we'll fly into that main air hub and spend one night. Then we work from there on a city tour. You'll get a chance to see the beautiful stretch of Salt Lake City before making our way down to Moab. And Moab is a great hub and resource to get out to the national parks to the south. So from Moab and our 4-night stay, we'll work our way out to Capitol Reef National Park, one of the least recognized or most popular places to visit, but not many people do that when they're seeing Bryce and Zion, so we've incorporated it on this trip. Then we'll also stop at Canyonlands National Park and make our way over to Arches as well. So Moab is very close to those two locations. We'll see Dead Horse State Point, and that's within Canyonlands National Park, and then head down to Monument Valley on this trip. And that's where we have a Navajo native guide take us out into the valley and tell us about the landscape and the cultural meaning. A wonderful program all in all. Again, this is 8 days, 10 meals included, and our first departure in April is already guaranteed. Now, when you think of warm weather climates, one of the first places that comes to mind is Hawaii. And this is our 3-island adventure, starting out with a visit to Oahu. And it's a 9-day trip. We work our way February, March, and November. And this is a great opportunity to get out of the cold weather and into the aloha spirit. So as we arrive in Oahu into Honolulu, we'll spend 3 nights near Waikiki. And this is a great hub for activities if you ever want to get a chance to learn how to surf. But the beach of Waikiki is absolutely gorgeous. It's a wonderful setting. And we'll make our way out from there over to a Honolulu city tour. We'll also stop in Pearl Harbor and do a visit there with the USS Arizona Memorial. From there, we'll continue. We'll have an optional tour of a Circle Island of Oahu. Takes you out to the North Shore and other parts of the island, including the Dole Pineapple Plantation. And then we'll leave Oahu, making our way out to the Big Island and flying into Hilo. From there, we'll drive around to Kona and have 2 great nights in Kona on the coastline. From there, we visit the Black Sand Volcanic Beach, as well getting a chance to see some of the lush, beautiful stretch of the island. We'll visit the Volcanoes National Park, and then we fly from there over to Maui. And on Maui, we spend 3 great nights getting to stay in the Kaanapali area. We'll get a chance to see the Whalers Village, which is a wonderful shopping complex, a great opportunity to explore. And then we also see the tropical plantation on Maui. It's a beautiful setting with all these great lush plants. And then we wrap up this trip with a visit up to Haleakala, and that's a beautiful crater with views out over the island chain. From there, our last stop is a Hawaiian luau to celebrate the trip. So great program, getting a chance to go out to the islands. Some of the more beautiful national parks in our country are up in the north and central parts of the United States. And this trip really provides a great insight to a lot of them. We'll start out with a flight into Rapid City on our Mount Rushmore, Yellowstone, and Western Frontiers trip. And we stay 3 nights there with a great hub and a lot of activities around Rapid City. From there, we go out to Badlands National Park, and you'll get a chance to see all the different geology layers. And then over into Fort Hays, and we'll do a Chuck Wagon supper dinner in Fort Hays. That is the site of the filming of Dances with Wolves. From there, we get a chance to see Mount Rushmore in day as well as night, and it's a great opportunity to see the beautiful statue of our presidents. And another statue that we'll work our way over to Built into the rocks is Crazy Horse Memorial. So we'll stop there for a visit as well. Now we'll make our way up and through Wyoming into Montana on this trip. We've changed it a little bit from previous years, and we'll visit Little Bighorn. So this is one of General Custer's big battles and his last stand. We'll get to learn all about his life and the Native Americans that lived in the area, and then staying one night in Billings. Then we'll drop down into Wyoming and stop in Cody, and this is home of the Buffalo Bill Cody Western Museum, which is a 5-part museum of history and art. And from there, we enter Yellowstone National Park. So we come in the east entrance, making our way along Yellowstone Lake and the beautiful reservoir and waterways of the Shoshone River, and stay 2 nights in West Yellowstone before doing a loop tour around the national park. So we'll get to see Yellowstone Canyon, Old Faithful Geyser, and much, much more. We'll continue south. We'll stop in Jackson, Wyoming, getting a chance to see the Grand Tetons National Park as we go. And then our stay in Jackson Hole. This is a great resort town, both in summer and winter. A great hub for activities there as well. And then our last stop is a night in Salt Lake City. We'll get a chance to do a loop around Salt Lake as a city tour and then wrap up before we fly home. So this one heads out June, July, and September. Our Black Hills and Badlands tour is a great Unpack Once trip, one of my favorites as a tour manager. And we run this trip from June all the way through September. And so we'll stay in Rapid City with a lot of great downtown activities. It's known as the City of Presidents, and there's a statue of each of the presidents on every corner. We'll go from there out to Badlands National Park on this trip, and then we'll also stop at Wall Drug, the famous stop of folks traveling along the highways there. We'll do the Fort Hays Chuck Wagon Supper Dinner, and then we'll also work our way south to the Mammoth site. So you learn how the prehistoric timeframes really impacted this area and how it was actually an exotic rainforest at one point in time. We'll see Mount Rushmore as well as Crazy Horse, and then work our way over to Deadwood and Devil's Tower on this trip. But a real great insight into the Black Hills. We'll do a steam train from the 1880s up and through the Black Hills, and then we'll also incorporate some great sightseeing like Custer State Park. That's where we'll do the Buffalo Jeep Safari and a game lodge dinner. Now, when you think warm weather, you don't think of Alaska, but it's a prime destination for the summertime. And this one heads out from June, July, and August. That is the peak time to visit Alaska, as it's the best weather there. And I've seen some glorious days up in that region during that time. So we fly into Anchorage on this trip. We'll spend a night on arrival, and then we take the train up to Denali National Park. And that is the wilderness train taking us through the beautiful forests and seeing the mountains around us. And on arrival, our 2-night stay in Denali also gives you a chance to get in depth into the national park. And hopefully Denali shows itself during our time there. We'll continue back south down to Seward along the coastline for a 3-night stay. And that's where we do a Kenai Fjords experience. We'll take you out on a cruise to see the glaciers and a number of different species of wildlife. And this is a truly all-encompassing trip into Alaska. A lot of people only see the coastline, don't make it up to Denali, but it is a well-worthy experience going up to the national park. Great Trains and Grand Canyons is our most popular West Coast trip, and you can see all of the departures that are already guaranteed from March on through into October and November. And it's a wonderful destination, especially for good weather, as we stay right in Sedona. And so it's temperate climate. It's a great setting for a 5-night stay there. We'll fly in and out of Phoenix and drive up to Sedona for our stay. And then we'll do a full-day tour of Sedona on the trolleys. So we'll take you out, get a chance to see the Chapel of the Holy Cross and much, much more. And then the following day, we'll take you on a drive through Oak Creek Canyon, making our way up to Williams. And that is the base for the Grand Canyon Railway. So this historic rail route takes us up to the south rim of the canyon, and we work our way through the Bright Angel Lodge out to the canyon itself. Then from there, we'll drive back to Flagstaff and make a couple of stops along the way. And in Flagstaff, we'll enjoy a great dinner together. From there, another great day experience is going out to Montezuma's castle in the morning. We'll get a chance to see the cliff dwelling of the Sinagua tribe. And then from there over to the town of Jerome, which is an old west mining town, a ghost town, but some great little shops, a beautiful view of the valley. And then last but not least on that day is a trip out on the Verde Canyon Railroad. And this is pictured in the bottom right corner. It's one of the most beautiful stretches in Arizona, one of the most lush places along the way. And we have access to a first class rail car as well as an open air car with a naturalist on board that tells us all about the area. So this one is 6 days, 5 nights, and heads out all throughout the spring and fall. Then our Colorado Rails and National Parks trip is a great loop tour around Colorado. And especially during the summertime, again, Denver is called the Mile High City, so it's a little bit more moderate at that time of year. It's not as hot as some other locations. But we'll fly in to one night in Denver. Then we work our way west, and we'll stop in Vail along the way, getting to see the beautiful resort town and grab some lunch. We stay 2 nights in Grand Junction, and that's an excellent hub for our trips out to Arches and Canyonlands National Parks. And then we make our way south to Silverton. That's where we board the Durango and Silverton Railroad, and that takes us down into Durango for our 2-night stay there. We'll work our way out to Mesa Verde National Park, and then continue on to the east, heading out to Great Sand Dunes, and then finally wrapping up in Colorado Springs. And there are just so many great activities around Colorado Springs. We do 3 nights there, and then we take Pikes Peak Cog Rail, and we also work our way on the Royal Gorge Railroad. Then we'll see the Air Force Academy and the Garden of the Gods, as well as the U.S. Olympic Center during our time there. Now, another great program in California is Northern California and the California Rail Discovery. And this trip works our way into San Francisco for a 2-night stay with a city tour in the Bay and a bay cruise. From there, we work our way out to Muir Woods to see the coastal redwood trees, and we'll also stop in Napa Valley for a wine tour and tasting. Then it's on to the state capital of Sacramento, and we stay right near the state capitol building along the main stretch in town with a visit to Old Sacramento and a stop at the Railroad Museum. Then we take the Amtrak California Zephyr up and over the Sierra Nevada mountains and stop in the town of Truckee. And this is on the north end of Lake Tahoe. Beautiful little town. We'll drive around the east side of the lake and into Lake Tahoe into the South Lake region for a 3-night stay. From there, we go out to Nevada. We'll do a visit to Reno, where we get to see the National Automobile Museum, as well as the town of Virginia City. And that is home of the Comstock Lode, the silver strike that took place there. We have great departures May, June, September, and October. And September and October are absolutely beautiful in the Bay Area especially. Then we're off into Arizona to the south end. We've created a wonderful Unpack Once tour based in Tucson. And so we'll fly in and out of Phoenix with a trip down to Tucson for 5 nights. From there, we work our way out to Saguaro National Park. And these cacti are so large, so giant, some of them 10, 15 feet tall. And so it's really amazing to see. But it's a desert climate with these beautiful cacti as we travel through the national park there. We'll also take you out to Kartchner Caverns, and this is home to incredible stalactites in this cave. And then Tombstone, that's home of the OK Corral, and we'll learn all about the famous gun shootouts there. And then we'll take you over to the Arizona Sonoran Desert Museum, so you learn about the different wildlife and plant life that grows in the desert. One of the most popular activities is going to Bisbee and to the Queen Mine, and that's where you can put on your hard hat, get into a little train, and pull you into the mines. So it's a wonderful visit there. Then last but not least is the Pima Air and Space Museum, and this is a great exhibit to show you all different classes of aircraft. This one is November 9th. It is already guaranteed. You'll see a lot of these November trips guaranteed already, and that's because people are booking out earlier and earlier for their trips. Then our sunny San Diego and Southern California highlights, getting into the beautiful, finest city in America's finest city in San Diego. So we start with 5 nights in the city. We work our way out to a number of different areas, including Palm Springs, where we'll do a city tour there. We do a stop in Temecula, and this is one of the up-and-coming wine regions of California. And then we also do a visit to the San Diego Zoo, and it's a fun experience to take in. The drive through the park itself is gorgeous, and all different species of animals. We'll take the Pacific Surfliner up the coast, up to San Juan Capistrano, and that's where we visit the mission there, famous for its doves, its birds that fly out. And then we'll take you into Old Town San Diego for a wonderful dinner together as a group. We'll go out on the harbor on a cruise, getting to see the different wildlife and multiple military installments there, and then up to Torrey Pines and La Jolla. So it's a great program all around, heading out February, March, October, and November. Another great program into Arizona is 5 nights stay in the city of Phoenix, and we visit a number of sites on this program, including 2 great spring training baseball games. So it's a fun way to see baseball. One thing is that the stadiums are much smaller, so you sit closer to the action. You feel like you're involved. And then the hot dogs and beer aren't $20, so that's always nice. But this one has just one departure, actually, March 9th, whereas the 16th did cancel, but March 9th is guaranteed to operate. And from there, we'll incorporate a Phoenix City tour. We'll also visit Saguaro National Park on this trip as well. And then the Heard Museum, which is focusing on Native American culture. So lovely program, 6 days, 5 nights in Arizona. Getting into Canada, our neighbors to the north, we have multiple great programs. We'll dive in a little bit deeper on another experience, but today I'll talk briefly about the Canadian Rockies and Glacier National Park. So this is a great combination of both Banff and Glacier. We'll start by flying into Calgary and spend a night on arrival. And then we head out to Banff National Park, and we stay 3 nights in Banff, getting to see the beauty of the surrounding areas. We'll take you on the Icefields Parkway and get a chance to see the Athabasca Glacier. And that is an experience on the Ice Explorer, which is a large vehicle that takes us up and on top of the glacier itself. We'll also take you on the 1930s jammer cars, and these are beautiful restored vehicles that take you on a journey along the lakes. And then visits to Waterton Lakes National Park, as well as Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump. And this is the location where the Native Americans used to hunt buffalo. So departures all throughout the summer, from June on through September, and each one is already guaranteed. One of our most popular trips recently is our majestic Canadian Rockies, and this is an Unpack Once tour where we stay 5 nights in Banff. This is also a great value trip for the money. So as we arrive in Calgary, we'll spend 5 nights in Banff near the city. We'll get a chance to see Banff National Park as well as Yoho National Park. We'll take you out to a number of the beautiful lakes, including Emerald and Moraine Lake. And then we do a meal out at Chateau Lake Louise. It is most likely going to be a lunch rather than a dinner, but just wanted to put that out there. And we take trips out from June all the way to September on this trip. But 6 days, 5 nights, right in the heart of Banff. Our Canadian Rockies by Rail tour is another wonderful program, and we do both westbound as well as eastbound. So our westbound tours start in Calgary and end in Vancouver. Our eastbound start in Vancouver and end in Calgary. I'll talk about the main structure of the program. Our standard program is flying into Vancouver for 2 nights, and that's where we do a day trip out to Victoria, on Vancouver Island. And you'll get a chance to see Bouchard Gardens there, as well as the local area of the town of Victoria. From there, we board the Via Rail, a beautiful train experience up and over the Thompson River. We stay a night on the train and make our way up into the Jasper area. Now, that area was affected by the fires. A lot of the hotels remain intact, but we do want to provide resources back into Jasper as they continue to return back to full strength. As we make our way south, we'll visit a number of the lakes, including Lake Louise, And chateau, a visit to the chateau there is a really impactful and big highlight of the experience. We'll do the Ice Explorer on the Athabasca Glacier on this experience as well. And then we stay 3 nights in Banff to wrap this tour up. So great program running June through October, and 8 days, 7 nights incorporated. One of my favorite destinations in the entire world is Costa Rica. And this program really does highlight a lot of the great national parks that Costa Rica has to offer. Costa Rica as a whole is also a great area for retirees. People have moved from the United States down there to settle, be in that warm climate, and really enjoy the resources there and low cost of living. Now, we have trips going out from January through November, but the January departure is already sold out, and the other 3 departures are already guaranteed. So our 4 national parks visits include Paus Volcano, Arenal, which is where we stay, and that's a great resource right in the La Fortuna area. And so we stay in a resort which has great spa amenities, and we do a free day there at the resort so you can enjoy the baths, the pools, and all of the amenities they have to offer. It's also a great resource for natural activities. So whether it's whitewater rafting, horseback riding, all these fun experiences out in the park. We'll work our way into San Jose and spend a night there before making our way out to the national parks. So we'll stop in Paus and see the volcano there. We'll also travel up through the rainforest and get a chance to see the hanging bridges. And this is a wonderful stretch of natural scenery in the jungles with animals all around you, including those amazing monkeys. And then end up in La Fortuna for 2 nights at that great resort. From there, we'll go out on a day trip to Arenal Volcano and then down to Monteverde's Cloud Forest. And this is a wonderful stop. It's a highlight for me as I've traveled through Costa Rica many times, and getting to be above the clouds and those hanging bridges overlooking the valley. Then we'll also get a chance to stop at a coffee plantation, generally on the way from San Jose to La Fortuna. And this really gives you a great perspective of the coffee industry, the process of getting these coffee beans, as well as those chocolate-covered coffee beans are something special. We'll work our way from Monteverde down to Jaco and Hermosa Beach, not Hermosa Beach, California, but 2-night stay in Hermosa Beach before making our way out to Manuel Antonio National Park. And this has one of the greatest diversities of wildlife in the region. So wonderful program, 9 days, and we take off for Costa Rica. Now, a destination that I just got back from is Scandinavia. I've been a couple of times and absolutely love the surrounding areas. So we start with July and August departures. July 17th is already guaranteed, and it's 11 days, 9 nights. So we'll start out by flying into Stockholm, and this is a wonderful city with all sorts of access to shopping and restaurants, and I've had some of the best meals out in Stockholm. From there, our 2-night stay also incorporates the Vasa Ship Museum, and that's the biggest highlight of museums in the area. It's a highlighted activity. We'll do a city tour in Stockholm as well, so you get to see some of the old town as well as the more modern complexes. And then from Stockholm, we'll head out into Norway. We'll make our way by driving into Oslo, and that's the capital of Norway down in the south. We'll do 2 nights there, incorporating the Norwegian Folk Museum and a city tour there. And we also stop to see the Fram Ship Museum. Now, we'll take the train from Oslo up to Flom, and en route, we'll change trains and work our way up and over the mountain, getting to see this beautiful waterfall that's pictured in the upper right-hand corner. As we make our way down to the base of Flom, in the middle of the Arlands Fjord, we also take a fjords cruise. So you get to see the landscape all throughout. It reminds me a lot of Alaska. And then as we travel along, we'll stop in Stalheim for a night before ending 2 nights in Bergen in Norway. Now, our Bergen experience incorporates a city tour as well as a cable car up to the top of the mountain. And then we fly from there into Copenhagen and get a chance to spend some time in Denmark with 2 nights in Copenhagen, incorporating a city tour and the famous Tivoli Gardens, which is an amazing amusement park. So wonderful program, highlights of Scandinavia going out in the summertime. And people think of Scandinavia as a cold weather destination, but not in the summer. It's absolutely gorgeous. And one of our more exotic trips, but one of the great trips we've been running for many years, is our Cuba Discovery Tour. We had one of the first licenses to take folks to Cuba as part of a cultural experience, and we've been doing so for many, many years. And so our February trip is already sold out and guaranteed to go. March, October, and November are still available, and this is a highlight for folks. We'll fly into Havana and spend 5 nights in the city of Havana with an old Havana walking tour. We also take you over to the Museum of the Revolution, and this really depicts the war of the 1950s there, the takeover as well. And then from there, we'll take you over to a cigar factory and get a chance to tour the factory and the process of making these great cigars with the tobacco fields out in the area. So the tobacco rollers get to take about 5 cigars home each day. They can smoke them there or they can take them home. I don't know if I'd ever be able to process 5 cigars in one sitting, but some people can. And then we work our way out to a great area of Havana where we learn about artist Jose Fuster. And he has done so many murals and sculptures throughout Havana to beautify the area. From there, we'll also incorporate a visit to the Havana Rum Museum. So you get to try some great rum. And then along our trip, we'll also take you out on these classic cars. So these beautiful restored cars and parts that were attached. And we'll take you through the old Havana area and enjoy the Classic Car Club. So this is a wonderful program, 6 days, 5 nights in Havana. And one of our most popular summertime tours is our Alpine Swiss Villages and Rails trip. And this one takes you out into the small towns of Switzerland. We'll start out by flying in and out of Zurich and then make our way to Bern before a 6-night stay up in the mountains in Wengen. And it's a beautiful resort town where we spend our time. From there, we'll go out to some of the smaller areas like Brienz and Meringen, and we'll also stop in Grindelwald and Gimmelwald. And these are just beautiful hillside towns at the base of the mountains. So you have these incredible peaks above us. Now, being close to the mountains, we might as well go down to Zermatt. And we do provide an optional tour down to Zermatt and to see the Matterhorn. We'll also stop at Trummelbach Falls as well and get to see the Lauterbrunnen Valley, as that'll be our hub. But a great aspect to this program is taking the different modes of transportation throughout Switzerland. So we leave the motor coach behind most days, and we take the rail all around. Australia and New Zealand's great to have access to again after the pandemic, and our February departure has already sold out. We do have October 13th, which is guaranteed to operate, and this trip is a fantastic experience to really highlight the best of Eastern Australia and both islands of New Zealand. So we'll fly into Sydney with 3 nights there, get to do a Sydney city tour, see the Harbour Bridge, and also see the opera from the interior as well as the exterior. And then we'll make our way up to Cairn, and that's where we get a chance to visit the Great Barrier Reef. And we have a whole day trip planned out there with multiple options and access, whether it's snorkeling or a nature walk, a lot of great resources to take in. From Cairn, we work our way south, and we do a 2-night stay in Melbourne. And this is the cultural capital of Australia with a tremendous amount of art museums and activities. And then from there, we fly over to Queenstown. And that's where we spend 3 nights in this beautiful hub of the South Island of New Zealand. We'll see Milford Sound. We'll take you out on a cruise to see the fjords. And then we also stop at the National Kiwi Hatchery. So you learn about these incredible creatures. As we continue north, we'll fly up to the North Island and stay in Auckland as well as Rotorua. And Rotorua is known for its thermal reserve. And so you got all sorts of thermal activities similar to Yellowstone. And then we also take you over to the Maori Hangi. And the Maori culture, similar to a lot of the southern Polynesian cultures, but it has its own intricacies. So it's really incredible to learn about. And last but not least, if you're a fan of The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings, we do take you over to the movie set there. So you get to learn all about the filming. So great program, 17 days in Australia and New Zealand. Now, our Kenya Safari program is a wonderful opportunity to explore this amazing country. And we have incorporated so many great safari experiences, game reserves, as well as adventures into the parks. So we'll fly in and out of Nairobi as our main hub and spend the night there. And then we'll do kind of a triangle loop, going down to the Amboseli National Park, as well Mount Kenya Safari Club. And we'll have a local guide with us the entire trip, as well as our safari guides. We'll see Mount Kilimanjaro as well and get a chance to do the Giraffe Center and the Jane Goodall Chimpanzee Center. So the goal is to see as many animals as possible in our time there. And the last several trips have been such a great success with doing that. But this one heads out February, which is already sold out. We have a February 15th date available, as well as November 6th, which is a guaranteed departure with Chris McCool. A very unique summertime option is our England, Scotland, and Wales trip with the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo. Now, normally we wouldn't do Europe in the summer, but this has such a special feature with the military tattoo incorporated with it. And this is where we fly in to Edinburgh. On this trip, we'll work our way south to north, and that's into London. Our general program goes north to south. But we'll spend 3 nights in London, getting a chance to do a city tour there with all the main highlights like Kensington Palace, getting to see Buckingham Palace, and we try to link that up with the changing of the guards. Then we continue out to Stonehenge, and you get to learn about the stone structures, many of which were brought from as far away as Wales, so around 5,000 years ago. And then from there, we continue over to the town of Bath, and it's home to the Roman baths that were in place. So the hot springs were in place there for since 8,000 BC. But they say it's unlucky to touch the waters of the bath, and mostly I think that's because of bacteria. We'll end up with our stay in Bristol, and that's where our hub will be. It's a beautiful port town, before a trip out to Wales and the town of Cardiff. And so we'll see the Cardiff Castle, its beautiful remnants, as well as its Gothic architecture of more modern times, and the Roman walls. It was originally a Roman fortification. We'll see the Cardiff National Museum of Wales, and then work our way up to Stratford-upon-Avon. And that's where we see Anne Hathaway's cottage, wife of William Shakespeare, and we'll also see William Shakespeare's birthplace. Then a one-night stay in York, where we see York Minster and do a tour with our local guide there. And last but not least is our 2-night stay in Edinburgh. And this is where we'll do, on arrival, the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo. Now, tattoo was a description or a phrase of Dutch called tap toe. And that was in reference to letting the taverns know to close the bars to send the military folks home. So basically, it was telling the taverns to shut down their kegs and send the military back to their barracks. And so this is an entire incorporation of a tremendous performance with over 800 performers from around the world and all different musical styles. You have the lone bagpiper that stands up on top of the castle and plays a tremendous piece of music. And then each performance has different styles of music. And there are about 9,000 attendees. It sits right below the Edinburgh Castle and is just a tremendous experience to take in, a once-in-a-lifetime type of experience. We'll do a city tour in Edinburgh where we'll get to visit the castle during the daytime and get to see the Great Hall as well as some of the ramparts. And then as we travel through, you'll see Princess Street, which is more of the modern part of the city, and the Royal Mile, which connects Holyrood House with the castle. So it's a great program heading out August 5th. And we do have our standard England, Scotland, Wales tours without the tattoo going out throughout the year. Our Athens and the Greek Islands tour is a 9-day program with 7 nights all throughout. And this one spends 3 nights in Athens, 2 to start out with a great city tour. And that features the Olympic Stadium and the Acropolis. And the Acropolis Museum actually has a glass floor that you can see under to see the current archaeological dig. Then we work our way from Athens by ferry out to both Santorini and Mykonos. And one of the great aspects of this program is our stays in both islands for 2 nights each. From Santorini, we'll do a wine tasting as well as a walking tour of the Ia village. And then from Mykonos, we'll take you out to Delos, and that is an archaeological dig site, an island out in the archipelago. We'll work our way back into Athens for our final night, and then we also offer a 3-night extension up to the north, and that goes to Kalambaka and Delphi. Delphi, home of the oracles, and Kalambaka is home of Meteora, which is where all the beautiful monasteries are located out in the valley. So this one runs from April on through October. Our Italy's Amalfi Coast trip is a 9-day, 7-night program with 11 meals incorporated, and we fly into Rome and work our way down into the Sorrento area for a 5-night stay. And this one heads out from March through into November. It's an Unpack Twice tour with stays in Rome at the end and Sorrento in the beginning. And then we also have an extension to add some time in Rome. So this trip heads out along the coastline. We get a chance to drive along the Amalfi Coast and see the beautiful towns along that stretch. It's known for its beautiful weather, and that's an area that also grows tremendous citrus. And so one of the products they make is limoncello. It's a liqueur that is absolutely delicious, especially at the right temperature. So we'll do a demonstration and tasting of that. We'll also do a cheese tasting and a chance to see the UNESCO World Heritage Site of the Amalfi. Then we'll do an optional trip out to the Isle of Capri, and that is just beautiful. It's a wonderful setting out in the Mediterranean. And we'll also incorporate a guided tour of Pompeii before heading back into Rome. So great program all in all. So when we do these great shows, we try to create some specials for attendees. And if you book a new 2025 tour or European river cruise by next Friday, that's December 20th, we have a show special that provides a $100 deposit for any new booking. So we also offer the ability to give the gift of travel, and that's a big part of what we've been doing recently in December. So you can actually put a deposit down for a friend or family member for a wonderful trip to go with you. And so a nice, easy $100 deposit for any of our trips. Must purchase travel insurance with these programs. And if you do so by December 20th, that deposit is reduced. Generally, our deposit is $400 for domestic and $600 for international. So it's a great savings up front. You can wait and pay your final payment till a later date. And then our one cabin category upgrade can save you between $200 and $400 per person on our European river cruises. Now, those are selling out fast, and they always do. So please don't wait if you want to book our European river cruise charters. We have some great destinations coming up for 2025, including Holland, the Rhine River, the Danube, and much more. So you must use the savings code SUMMER by next Friday for these to apply. And then how you can book. Joe, Holly, April, or Sam in our office are very easy to get a hold of. You can call our 1-800 number, 369-3693, and talk to any of them. You can email them with their first name at afctours.com or visit our website, afcvacations.com, and the forms section. So easy ways to book and get your reservation in, because that's the only way we can hold your space. And from all of us at AFC, from the folks in the office to the staff out on the road, the tour managers, we wish you very happy holidays. We hope you have a wonderful rest of the year. And thank you so much for joining us. Please come on board of one of our great trips, and we look forward to seeing you. Have a great rest of your day.